Kevin, I'm so impressed by this collab with Howard University. How did you guys come to work together on this extended version of, or excuse me, this enhanced version of Hallelujah?
Oh wow. Well, I always knew when I was making my album Dawn of a Misfit, I wanted students to be at the centerpiece of who I reached. And I had an opportunity to do a lunch and learn at Howard University with the music department. And what was originally supposed to be a 45-minute conversation turned into a 2 hour long conversation where every single student and I were getting vulnerable and raw and honest about our experiences. And I remember this one girl, she came to me, hugged me, and with tears in her eyes said, I feel so seen and heard by your music. And so I knew it wasn't going to be a one-time visit. This had to build into something more. And that's when my team and the Howard team decided to create this collaboration, Hallelujah at Howard University. And to me, it's not just, a musical partnership. This is a true cultural moment celebrating the beauty of who we are and why we do what we do. And so it's been amazing to see how people have received this.
I mean, it's an incredible version. I think each person who participates from the band, from the color guard to every single person makes this song so special. How did you all figure out how you would choreograph things and how the band would take part in it as well?
Oh man, that was a great question. I think we had an amazing team of producers and choreographers who thought through all of those parts. Thankfully, Howard University, the Showtime marching band already had some dances that they already knew that they could do. And then adding the choir to that, I mean, a lot of people think of just choir students as just, we sit there and we sing. Oh, no, they were fun. They were rambunctious. They had so much energy and joy to them on that day. So honestly, figuring it out was actually quite a pleasure and quite a joy.
Is there any particular way you guys sort of mapped out how the video would go, or was it just a we'll start here with this and that and brought it over to the middle of the field? You guys have such an incredible performance throughout. There's all different versions throughout the video of it.
No, thank you. So what we did was I gave an initial idea of how I wanted things to go, some of the surprises that maybe we would have, like, the beatbox marching band battle. And then the producer took that and made a treatment and saying, like, is this kind of what you're thinking? This is where I think we could go. And I loved the treatment from the time they gave it to me. And from there, they had their marching orders to basically make that a reality. And I started working with the students and the band director and the choir director on making the actual version by working with an arranger, Larry Jenkins Jr., who was just that man was amazing. He was, I mean, a true right-hand collaborator in bringing this art to life, and he was so integral for us being in the studio and making this thing feel like the way it is, especially because he's a Howard alum.
You're already in good shape, but you're performing and you've performed on a number of incredible stages. Is performing on the field of Howard University one of the highlights, or maybe something you had to change up for your performance that you usually didn't expect you needed to adjust?
Oh my gosh, I never ever expected that I'd ever get the opportunity to do that. I mean, I, from college, I'd always heard about the Mecca, and I never got an opportunity to go to the Mecca, right? To go to the yard and to be at the stadium, the football stadium. And so I was like a kid at the candy store the whole time, just going around like, I can't believe I'm here. This is unbelievable. So I had so much fun on Howard University's campus.
Did anyone throw you a football while you're on the field? You had to do something, you know.
You know what?
You're
No,
there,
no,
you
there wasn't. But funny enough, while we were shooting, there was a track practice going on. So we definitely saw a lot of track runners. And so we had to figure out how to finagle that so that we can make sure that we got the shots that we needed. But it was awesome.
well, you talked about the beatboxing section of the song. I'm curious, is that a particular favorite for you? One that sort of came to life even better than you envisioned?
Absolutely. I always knew I wanted something like that. It felt like Battle of the Bands, but Battle of the Beatboxer and the march and the drum corps instead. And so that was super, super fun because I think just that idea of a beatboxer being able to mimic some of the sounds that a huge drum corps could do is just such an interesting concept, and people don't think that is possible. So I said, well, let's do something that really experiments with that, especially within the marching band culture. So we had a super amazing time doing that.
This track is featured on the deluxe edition of your solo album, Dawn of a Misfit Deluxe. Have you been working on some new music already, or are we still focused on this incredible project?
I've been starting just the beginnings of a new project, but honestly, I've been trying to take this project in as much as possible because this was a 17-year journey to get to this album. I mean, I had EPs in the past, but for me, from 2008, when I was just starting to mess with this cello beatboxing idea, to really expand it to the sound that it is today and understand and reconcile all these identities that I was trying to figure out in myself. This is such a beautiful statement of where I've always wanted to come to, and I feel like I've arrived. So I don't want to leave the space too quickly.
You have an incredible gift for cello, and I for cello. You have an incredible gift for cello. How do you mix the two with the music you make and make it your own sound? It's such a unique vibe for so many people, and that's what I think people tend to connect with you.
Oh, it's a great question. It honestly just takes a lot of experimentation, lots of practice. Once I feel like the experimentation has yielded some results, you know, for me, it's so funny. I think of cello boxing, and this is a little bit like academic, but as almost like the fundamental units and the fundamental building blocks of what I was always hearing in my head, but didn't know how to make when I was, back in 2008. Like the cello, if you expand that, that's classical music. And then the beatboxing, you expand that out, that's popular genre. And I was like, how do I mix these two together and build the skills to finally create an even greater sound? And when I actually, funny enough, made Hallelujah, the original track, I Don't Think About You, I made it, did the songwriting session, came back with the demo. I'm listening to it in the car, and I said, oh, wow, what I was trying to make in 2008, I finally made it. This is the sound I've been trying to make my whole life. And that was 17 years of experimentation getting to that place. So, I'm so thankful. And you can't rush the process. You got to take every single step and know that it's all necessary in the dark room to finally create something that can come out into the light.
I mean, that's great advice for upcoming artists to remind them, yes, it's hard. Yes, the route is long, but you have to be happy with the product you're putting out there. You have to reconcile it with your heart and the dreams you had and the vision you have for your music. So it's a great, I think, reminder that yes, it does take a while, but you can't rush perfection, right?
That's exactly it. You cannot rush your process because you don't want any part of what you're bringing out into the world to be undercooked or underserved. You really want it to be a full meal, a full platter with every single part being ripe so that people taste your product, taste your artistry, and feel satisfied and full. You're trying to make soul food, and you want it to be as soulful as possible.
I mean, are you just hungry or was a perfect meal metaphor?
Oh, I'm always hungry. Let's talk about that. I'm always hungry. I can always eat something.
You must be from the South, like me then.
I'm from Kentucky,
Oh,
so
well,
I
there you go.
definitely, we got some good eats down there.
You have this beautiful song out. Will you be performing it live here, maybe tomorrow in honor of Juneteenth or some other
Oh
upcoming live
man,
performances?
I certainly hope I get an opportunity to do some live performances with, Howard University, do more with the HBCUs in general, and other colleges and universities because, I wish that growing up, I didn't know how to pursue music as a career when I was in college. And if I had somebody like me that would show me that there were other ways to make a career that's outside of just the mainstream way, I would have loved to have that mentorship. So I hope that this is something that is always in my sphere to influence students.
All right. You've worked with pentatonics for so many years and you've made some beautiful music. Are there some dream collabs you have, people you would still love to share a stage with or make a record with?
Oh my gosh, for my solo project, I would think people like John Batiste, because he's just such an eclectic, amazing musician. Shabuzi, just because of how he takes country and hip hop and he fuses it together into something that's truly its own. And I've always wondered what would it sound like to take my classical vibe and add that to what he does. I think that'd be amazing.
Such a
There's a
great
guy named
songwriter too.
Great songwriter. I don't know if you've heard of Tobe Nwigwe. He's an African. He's of Nigerian descent, Nigerian American who does rap, but he calls his music purpose music, and I love what he talks about. It's just such good, dope music. There's so many other people I'd love to collaborate with. So, I, you know what? We'll see as I make music in the future. Let's see if those collaborations can happen.
You have a beautiful gift for playing cello, for singing, for beatboxing, and people just love the music you make. What would you like to say to people who are fans and supporters of your incredible artistry?
Oh man, first and foremost, thank you because this is not possible unless you all listen to the music. And two, I hope that you continue to feel like your own unique story matters in the world. The things that you were counted out for, the things that maybe you were teased for, bullied for. I understand that because that was my whole life, being the weird kid I was that played cello and studied Chinese. But those things made me uniquely who I am, and it became the superpower that I needed to change my world. And I know that you guys have the same thing. So continue to cultivate it and know that you may be able to change your world as well.
Man, I think we all need a little Kevin on our shoulder. That was
That's so
a little
kind.
goosebumps.
That's very,
Powerful
very
message.
kind.
It sounds like you have a good heart and a good head on your shoulders.
Oh, well, that's very, very kind. At the end of the day, for me, music is a service. It's not about me and making great music. And I don't care for any of that. My hope is to be the greatest musical servant that I can be. And if
Mm,
I've done that, I've done my job.
well said. My goodness.